Hey, welcome to the Live Full podcast, where we talk about all things faith, family, and living fully the life God wants for you. Now, in today's episode, we'll be talking about looking for love, some dating principles that we want to share with you, and why who you marry is actually really important. It's going to be fun. And today's episode, I'm going to have my favorite guest back on the show, and that's none other than my very own husband, Chris. Hey, welcome
Hi,
back.
it's great to be back. It's been a while
I know.
since I was last here, and it's been great just seeing all the other guests that you've had
Yeah,
on the podcast, all the good conversations that you've had.
it's
And
been
actually, so many people have come up to me to say, "Hey, I heard Gladys started a podcast," and everyone's just been super encouraging. I
yeah.
think people have been blessed just from listening to the conversation. So it's great to be back here today.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited that you're back. And obviously, for this topic today that we're talking
Yes,
about dating, looking for love. Well, we've been about, I don't know what, 13, almost 13 years
this year will
married,
be 13 years. Yeah.
almost 13 years. How many years dating?
We dated for 11 months
Yeah.
before we got engaged,
Yes.
I remember, and then I proposed, and then 6 months later we got married. So I don't know, just under 1.5 years.
Yeah, that's true. So I think this last March would have been maybe 14 years of
Yeah,
dating.
19th of March. I think it's
19th of March.
19th of March.
Yeah. Okay,
No,
we're getting
that's,
our dates really
yeah,
mixed up right
no,
here.
19th of March is when we started dating, and that was in 2011. So
2011
yeah, 14 years
is 14
of
years.
dating
Okay, 14 years since we started dating,
since we started
right?
dating.
And yeah, and so I think throughout these last 13 years at least,
Mhm.
one of the things that has been kind of a burden on my heart was just seeing people marry well
Mm,
and making good decisions about their marriage,
yeah.
because we've enjoyed it so much.
We really have. It's probably one of the most important decisions I think that you can make.
Yeah,
Who you marry.
exactly.
Because I mean, it's something that you live with for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
No one influences your life more, I think, than who you marry.
Yes.
Every waking moment, right? You're with the person. Your life direction, I think, it's influenced by who you marry,
Yeah.
and so that's so important. And I guess dating is kind of setting you up for that,
Yes.
right? And the way you date, is going to influence like how you marry and who you marry.
Yeah. And I feel like some people, maybe don't take dating seriously enough.
Mm.
It's more of a fun stage, and it should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But what is your goal, right? Actually, at the end of this dating period, and I can safely say that 14 years later, I'm so glad it was you.
So am I. So am I.
And I see that over and over again, and so that's my passion, that's my heart.
Yeah.
I do hope that people who are listening, if you are looking to date,
Mm-hmm.
right, or you are already in a relationship, right, I think in both of these cases this episode is going to be quite
Yeah.
useful for you.
Yeah. Good.
And just thinking about even the how do we date, right, or what are we looking out for.
Mm.
I want to talk a little bit about that today.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can start a bit with our story, if
Yeah.
you want to share.
Sure. No, for sure.
And we can give both sides,
Oh,
because
okay. The true side. I'll give you the true side. Well, we started dating 2011, but I had just come back. I think I was studying overseas, and I had just come back not too long ago. And I had come out actually of a relationship that hadn't worked out so well. But I was ready. I mean, I had finished school, I had started work, and I knew what I wanted. I
Yeah.
think I was looking for someone with the same values as me,
Yeah.
someone who loved the Lord, and we knew each other from way back.
Yep.
I'm 4 years older
Yep.
than you, and you were good friends with my sis.
Yeah.
And so we were in that same world. And I knew of you. I knew, hey, this girl's cute. She loves the Lord. She's a leader, and so on. And so at the end of 2010, I think it was. Actually, it crossed my mind before, but it was really like through a conversation with one of our mutual friends.
Yeah.
We were on a trip, and late one night, he's like, "Hey, Chris, like, if you were to date someone now, like, who would it be?" And I just said, off the tip of my tongue, "Oh, Gladys." And I think like from that moment, I was like, "Yeah, I think so. Actually, like,
Yeah.
why don't I, make it happen?"
Yeah.
And so that was really how it started.
Mm.
And so I took the initiative. I think just to like get to know you a little bit better.
Yes. Remember
Uh,
texting?
I remember
Twitter?
texting, yeah, formerly known as Twitter, now X.
Yeah.
But I remember like what was so good, I think, about that was that we had mutual friends,
Yeah.
and we were part of a community.
Yep.
in which we could kind of explore
Yes.
what dating would look like, what this relationship would look like. You weren't a complete stranger to me, and
Yeah.
neither was I to you.
True.
We had people who could vouch for us. In fact, we had many people who were rooting for us, right, at,
Which
at,
was nice.
at that dating
Yeah.
stage. People who'd be like, "Hey, can you find out for me, like, what does Gladys feel about this?" You know.
Yes.
And so that was really how it started. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, like maybe I'll just share my side of the story
Yep.
too. So at that time, in 2009, I shared that I went to East Timor. And at the end of that time, I turned 21.
Mm-hmm.
And my pastor actually came to visit us in East Timor. And he had a very interesting suggestion for me at that time. I was only 21, right? And he suggested that I would start praying for a husband. I would start praying for someone to spend the rest of my life with. And that seemed really intense at that time
Mm-hmm.
because it felt like I'm only 21. Why should I be thinking about that or praying about that? I was not dating or seeing anybody at that time. But I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll start praying and I'll start, believing for one. And I remember that actually I felt at the start of 2010, like God placed in my heart, I was going to meet somebody at the end of the year.
Mm.
And I was close to like maybe some friends, some like male friends around me.
Yep.
And it was not really, like someone that I would marry or, like date at that time. And I remember being at a service once, and this is why, again, so important to be in church. And I remember telling God and saying, God, like, if this person or the person I'm going to marry doesn't love you more than or as much as I love you, then I'm okay, like, not getting married at all. And I think it was a moment of like surrender for me too, and saying, okay, I'm going to put my fear of not being married aside, and I'm going to place my, I think my fear of marrying the wrong person was like a lot greater at that time. And it was a really important moment for me, I think, just saying, hey, God, I'm going to surrender all of that to you. But I remember in September, I think this was early in the year, in September that same year in 2010, was when I got a really strange DM from you on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter. Do you want to tell people about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so I think around that time, I was already thinking, hey, I think like, I think Gladys, she's cool. Like, I
Yeah.
want to get to know a little bit better. But how do I reach out
Yes.
to her? We weren't strangers, but
Yeah.
I needed something more intentional.
Yes.
I needed something that would communicate, hey, I want to get to know you personally. And so I think you were into running
Yes.
at the time. I remember I did a
It's
few
a long
things.
time ago.
I just wished you like happy birthday, and then I was like, hey, would you check out like this new running route, which in Singapore was called the Southern Ridges? And I said, hey, have
Mm-hmm.
you heard of the Southern Ridges? And obviously you hadn't because you replied me and you said, hey, did your phone get hacked or is there a virus on your phone? And I was like, here was my attempt to make a connection. Here was my attempt to like start a conversation. And your reply was like, I think your phone has a virus. So it was not the best way to start, but
Yeah, I think I felt like it was a little random,
yeah,
because we had not talked at all
yeah.
before that, right? I mean, we exchanged some emails, I think, when you were about to leave to go overseas to
Mm-hmm.
study,
Mm-hmm.
but it was very friendly, it was just, hey, how are you doing, right? Like,
Yep,
what's your, school life
yep,
like? I mean, but nothing more than that. So when you sent me that DM,
yep.
I was shocked.
I
And I was shocked that you would send something like
Well, I think, I just needed to start.
that.
And I think most people just don't know how to start.
Yes, it's true.
It's always like, man, how do I initiate this? And look, if there are guys listening to this, I'm like, just start.
Mm,
Like, I'm not saying like start in a weird way or start in an awkward way, but initiate conversation. I think
yes.
you got to talk. You got to find some
No
way,
interest?
show interest. Get to know the person, and I mean, that was like initial stuff, and we were, texting a bit here and there. But I knew at some point, all kind of these kinds of relationships reach a point where both parties kind of know something's going on,
Yeah.
and it comes a time where you gotta define the relationship,
Yes.
DTR, right? You
Yeah.
just gotta like, what is this? And so I decided, you know what, I don't want to just like text or DM. And I knew I wanted to communicate my interest
Yes.
in a clear way, in a non-awkward
Yeah.
way, in a safe way. And so I asked you for coffee,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know, maybe you want to share what your response was like when you got that invitation.
Yeah. Well, I think at that time, and you were always quite surprised by this, but I had gone through past like relationships that were not great, or even like very close male friendships
Yep.
that kind of blurred the line for me. And I became a bit like emotionally maybe excited whenever there was like a one-on-one, meetup. And so I had told myself I was not going to meet up with a guy one-on-one
Yeah.
until I was actually dating him.
Right.
And so I was happy. I mean, I would be fine, right? Just group date, we can text, we can call, and
Mhm.
just like get to know each other a bit more. But I also noticed that you were not texting or calling like as much as some of the other guys were. So I
Mhm.
thought, I wasn't sure, to be honest, like
Right.
if you're really interested or
Yep.
you just wanted to make a new friend.
I was playing it cool.
You were playing it very cool.
Yeah.
But I really respected that. And I think when you finally asked me out, I remember the first person I texted was my youth pastor, who was Pastor Carissa at that time. And I texted her and said, hey, like this guy, Chris Lim, is asking me out. What do you think? Should I do it? I was surprised because she said, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
I said, yes.
Yep.
I am kind of interested to find out what is his intention,
Yep.
right? So I said, yes, I'll do it. I'll go out with him. And I think what was so wonderful at that meeting, I remember what was funny was you came in sunglasses
That's one.
because
Yeah.
you had just done LASIK. I think you had finished like a procedure
Yep.
and you had to keep those sunglasses on. So I was like, this guy comes in like sunglasses looking a little bit sus,
Yeah.
What is this for? What are we meeting for? And then eventually, you said, hey, I'm interested to get to know you better.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you told me.
Yeah. And I think even leading up to that point, I think in my mind there were a couple of things. One, I think I was clear that I was ready to get into a serious, committed
Yeah.
relationship. My stage of life. Actually, I was ready to get married,
Yeah.
and I wanted to enter like a dating relationship because I wanted to marry someone.
Yeah.
We can, talk a bit more about that. The second thing was this: I don't want to be one of those guys who was just like, tiptoeing around the issue,
Yes.
and you're always wondering like what's going on. Everyone else around you can observe that, there's something more than just friendship, but we're not really sure like what it is. I just appreciate clarity
Yeah.
for myself, but also for you.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to be clear. And I remember my desire to be clear was so strong that I even like wrote out how I wanted to like,
Did you? Okay, I
yeah,
didn't know this.
yeah. So I really did, because I was like, you know, I like words. I think words
Mm-hmm.
communicate,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and words, you got to be precise, I think, in how you want to say it.
Yeah.
So I even thought about like what I wanted to say. And
Yeah.
so I almost like rehearsed that in my mind, like a little
Can
bit.
you say it again?
And I think it was, I don't remember the exact things now, but it was something like, hey, I'm interested to get to know you better, and see if this maybe could be more than a friendship.
Yeah.
Probably something along those
Yes.
lines. And it wasn't like, be my girlfriend now.
Yeah.
Because that would have been, like way off the charts. But I just wanted to let you know what my intentions were.
Yes.
And I wanted you to be clear what my ask was of you,
Yeah.
as we stepped into kind of something. We were friends, but there was an intentionality behind it.
Yes.
I think that was the
The
key.
purpose behind it.
There was a purpose, there was an intentionality, there was a
Mhm.
clarity, and I think that helped you.
Yes. I remember the response I had. The first thing I said, and this might it surprised you for sure. Was I said thank you for telling me that. Do you remember this?
Mhm.
I didn't even say yes. I'm also very interested and I want to like get into a relationship now.
Yeah.
But I remember saying thank you because I did feel like the clarity was really important. I think in that season or in that time of dating, it was more common for those guys or the other like side to be unclear.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would text a lot, or they would talk a lot, or
Yep.
they would show a lot of interest
Yeah.
without actually communicating the interest.
Yep.
And I struggled with that
Yeah.
because I needed the clarity. In
Right.
fact, recently I heard something, and someone said this is it's actually unkind to be unclear.
It's good.
And I thought that was very useful because, I mean, we are talking about dating today, but even in leadership and
Sure.
like, leading other people, it's true.
Yep.
It is unkind when you are unclear.
Mm.
And I think it would not have been fair to me too if
Yeah.
you just wanted to talk to me all the time, right? Or even text me all the time or expect me to go out with you all the time without ever
Yep.
being clear about your intention.
Good.
And so when you said those words to me, I knew like this guy is different.
Yeah. No, and coming into it too, um, I was prepared as I made that request of you, I guess, that you would say, actually, no, I'm not interested.
Yep.
And that would have been fine.
Yeah.
And I think that would have ended okay. It would
Yes.
not have been awkward because there was a very clear ask and a response.
Yes.
So in my mind, I knew that was clear. Now, obviously, I had done my homework.
Yeah.
And leading up to that time, I was asking like our mutual friends, hey, what do you
Yes.
think? And they were like, she'll fall for you. Like, she'll go right for it.
Really?
She'll say, okay, well, I think you were interested at that time. So,
Yeah.
but just that clarity of like, hey, I'll
Yeah.
ask. And if you say no, like, it's fine. And in some dating relationships, I think it's okay. I think you need to be okay that you don't have to go all the way.
Yes.
I think you need to have that wisdom and just that confidence that this is what this season of relating with each other is about. And I come out of a previous relationship. I
Yes.
think one of the things I wish I knew earlier was to be able to discern like, hey, I think this is not right.
Good.
Our values aren't aligned,
Yeah.
or maybe there are some like personal issues either in my life or in the other person's life, maybe that should be dealt with before we take this further, and just have the wisdom to be like, okay, I think it's better that this ends,
Yeah.
and that's healthier, that's clearer for everyone. And I think that's probably like missing a little bit in dating relationships nowadays.
Yes.
But I think that's a mark of maturity.
Yeah.
And I would encourage people who are thinking of dating, maybe like, are you prepared? Are you confident in who you are, what you want in your stage of life, that really you are looking for a life partner?
Yeah.
You're not just looking for like a dating companion.
Yep.
Because if you have that in mind, you have that end in mind, then you're going to take it like pretty seriously. I'm not
Yeah.
just, messing around. Is this going to lead to marriage?
Yes.
And if it's not, well, maybe it's better that we end it and do it
Yeah.
in a mature, in an amicable way, because both parties are clear what this season is about.
Yeah, no, and I think it actually comes down to this idea of being surrendered too. We talked about this a few
Yep.
episodes ago, right? Actually, being surrendered. I mean, it's a posture of your heart that applies to everything in your life, and even in dating, right? I think sometimes when it comes to issues of the heart, people get really nervous about it. They want to control it. They want to
Yeah.
hang on to it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like I can let God take care of all the other things in my life. But when it comes to dating,
Right.
when it comes to like the life partner, I know who I want best. But can we also surrender that to God?
Yeah.
And I love what you're saying, because are we, that posture actually equals to us during that season of dating. I'm willing to let go anytime.
Yep.
I'm willing for, whenever God says, I think there's not, there's some red flags here,
Yeah.
right? There's some things that I don't think are, like right. Are we willing to say, okay, actually, I'm ready. I can let go.
Yeah.
I'm okay to put this down
Yes.
because I know, God, like you have better for me, and I
Yes.
can trust God for that.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes we all need a bit more of that,
Yes.
right? To actually allow God to, to take over.
Yeah.
And also trust that God, you know what's best for me.
Mhm.
You love me.
Yep.
And you care about who I marry.
Yeah.
And so it's okay, right? At any time, I'm willing to let that go.
Yeah, that's good. I remember we've counseled several couples
Yes.
over the last few years. Most of them have, they've worked out well, they've gotten married, and we're so happy for them. That's always our heart's desire. But I remember the very first couple we counseled. Do you remember?
Yes, of course.
We met them and they were dating, and after each session, we were like, dude, these guys cannot like stay
Yes,
together.
yes.
And so, we would never say it in their face, like, you need to break up now, but we would ask questions and help them to see, like, hey, I think maybe this is not the right thing.
Yeah.
And eventually that relationship ended, which I think was for the good,
Yeah.
like of both of them. You could do it in a mature way.
Yes.
And I think you want relationships to succeed, but sometimes you just need to have the wisdom and clarity to
Yep.
say like, I think maybe not.
Yeah. And that's why accountability is important.
Yep.
You want to make sure that you're not in relationship like isolated,
Good.
right? You actually have a community around you who can support you, actually help you to see what you can't see. Because I think when you are in a relationship,
Yeah.
you can, okay? You can get really consumed by, just like the two of you.
Yep.
And that's all you see. You're so, you're so in love. You're having so much fun.
Mhm.
Your perspective of this person is just, they are amazing.
Yeah.
or you form like attachments to the person already, right? And it makes it a little bit hard to see actually some things will not work out.
Yeah.
You know, some things are not okay. And I think it's important to have people around me. I'm so thankful. Actually, I remember there was someone I thought of dating, right? But the people around me were like, no, 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 do not do that.
Yeah.
Because the rest of, I mean, the life that you don't see,
Yeah.
you know, it's not good, you
Yep.
know, and it doesn't quite line up to what you want or what you expect in a relationship. And so I really struggled with it because I thought, no, but I don't see all of those things that you're saying.
Yep.
I only see all the good things.
Yeah.
And I struggled with that, but I eventually said, hey, I think there's wisdom,
Good.
right? In my community telling me these
Yes.
things. And these people could be your leaders. Just like what we did, they could be your counselors,
Yeah.
like dating counselors in church, and they could just be your friends, like good friends who are actually looking out for you.
Very good.
And there's safety, right?
Very
I think in that situation, so it is important.
Yeah, I remember I spoke with my pastor at the time, even before I wanted to ask you out, and his advice to me was like, just wait a bit, just wait 3 months. And I was like, why? He's like, no, just wait. And I think there was some wisdom in that.
Yeah.
Because I think time will tell.
Yes.
At the end of the 3 months, hey, you're still interested? I was like, yeah, I still am. He's like, okay, go for it.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you're younger, sometimes the emotions that you mentioned, like, you know, might cloud kind of like your judgment of it. And on this thing about community, I remember even before we started like dating, like
Yeah.
exclusively, we would find ways to be with groups of friends.
Yes.
You know, again, like we had mutual friends, but it wasn't super natural. Well, it wasn't very natural that we would all be like hanging out together.
Yeah. True.
But I would be like, I want to get in there. And so I'll be in the space and people are like, oh, Chris is here, you know, like, and they kind of knew, but I think it was helpful that people around us knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And we would be open if they will say, hey, you're being weird, or like, hey, I think this is not working out. Because there are people around you who care for you.
Yes.
And there's safety,
Yeah.
right? There's safety in the midst of counselors.
Yes.
So I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, no, I think that's powerful. That's really crucial in our journey to dating. That's partly our posture too. Like what is our dating posture? I remember we kind of did that group dating thing for
Yep.
about 3 months. And then you finally asked me, and I was, I was excited about that.
I'm
But then
sure
I
you were.
said, hey, like talk to my parents, right?
Yeah.
At least like talk to my dad. Obviously, everybody's story is different. It may not look like that for you, but I think that was important for
Yeah.
me because this relationship is important to me.
Oh, absolutely.
And I did see like marriage on the horizon. You know, I
Mm.
was dating so that, yeah, you know, like I want to be married one day. I don't know if it's to you, but I do want to, you
Yeah.
know, like get to the point of marriage. I think that was important to me, you know, to remember. And I think maybe we can share some of the principles, you know, as we dated. What were some things we were looking out for? I think one of the things I remember was even just our future, you know, our values.
Yeah.
We were always asking very intentional questions. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I think, you know, I'm a question asker. And so, you know, I always wanted to know, like, who are you really? Again, like, I knew more or less.
Yep.
But all of our conversations were really just about discovery.
Yeah.
Our questions were about finding out what's in your heart, what's in your future, what's important to you,
Yep.
what's not. What are you going to look like? You know,
Yeah.
like 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. Now, no one really knows, but I think like values and principles and priorities, like to you, are pretty revealing.
Yeah.
So I think that was one. I remember one question we would always ask, and, you know, and because we talked quite a bit,
Yeah.
I felt like, yeah, I think I knew you.
Yes.
And when I kind of ran out of things, I would ask you, hey, tell me something about you that I don't know,
Yeah.
right?
That was
so,
fun.
And so there was that question. That was always fun. And you'd be like, man, what do you not know about me? And then you would bring something out. I'm like, oh, I never knew that.
Yes.
You know? And so just that intentionality, I think of asking, discovering, finding out more, because you want to know like who this person is if
Yes.
you're going to spend the rest of your life with them.
Yeah. No, I agree. The other question that we would ask each other would I mean, it sounds a bit serious, but we would say things like, where do you see yourself in like 5 years? You
Yeah.
know, what do you feel like your call is? Like,
Yeah.
what do you think like God is leading you to? Where do you feel like God is? And so even the idea of missions, which we talked about,
Yes.
in the last few episodes when we were together, that wasn't a surprise when we got married.
Yeah.
We had already kind of, talked about, yeah, if we do end up, married, actually that was our desire.
Yeah.
We wanted to go into the mission field together.
Yep.
So I think those conversations actually shaped us a lot. I remember thinking, I'll throw like every curveball possible
Yep.
and not be afraid to do that.
Yep.
Because those things were important, right? We also had physical boundaries that we were quite careful about. I'm going to talk
Yes.
a bit about that. We talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we set some boundaries.
Yep.
Should I tell the hand holding story?
Yeah, sure.
I think that was funny. We had, I asked you out and we, kind of got together, kind of officially exclusive relationship. And then I remember we were walking down Orchard Road, like here in Singapore, and I was like, all right, I'm going to hold this girl's hand,
Yeah, we were like dating for maybe a day. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know, a
maybe,
week
yeah.
or something, And so I reached out and I was like, all right, I'm going to hold her hand. And as I touched your hand, it's almost like you got an electric shock and you pulled your hand away.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on, And it was funny. And at the time you said, I was like, oh, are you okay? Are you like comfortable with this? She's like, and I think you said like, I think I need to talk to my mom first, right?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
I need to let my mom know that we're holding hands.
I was like, all right, this girl is like pretty serious because I can't even hold her hand. But eventually we did, like obviously. But I think just having a conversation, like we would never put ourselves in a compromising position.
Yes.
We would never put ourselves in a position that we would regret later on.
Yeah.
And again, like, okay, I'm dating, like I'm not married to you yet. No, when you're married, hey, whatever
Yeah.
goes,
Yeah.
But like, what if this doesn't work out? I'm not gonna cross a boundary that I'm gonna regret later on.
Yes.
I don't want to
absolutely.
cross a boundary that like in future I'm gonna have to explain to like whoever I marry. Let's say if it wasn't you,
Exactly.
and I want to honor you.
Yeah.
And so I think those boundaries like were important for us to like put in place.
No, absolutely. I think this is the idea of purity, right? You want physical purity, and I think remember we talked about things like we'll never be in a house like alone by ourselves.
Yes.
What more, a room,
Yeah.
right? We will never find ourselves in a dark place, right? Alone
Yep.
by ourselves.
Yep.
Late at night. That was the other thing that we talked about.
Mhm.
So there were a few of these things that we put in place just to help ourselves, to draw those lines like
Yep.
really clearly. The other thing, actually, I just thought about, we talked about questions that we asked each other. What do we not know about you?
Yeah.
I think also being careful about what we told each other, like the secrets of our lives. I think sometimes when you start dating and you have such trust with someone,
Yeah.
you almost want to pour out your entire like life story to them because you feel like, oh, I am so in love and I can trust this person. But I remember thinking, oh, we actually need to have some level of emotional like integrity or purity too,
Good.
so
Very
that
good.
we are protecting our own like emotions.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to give yourself fully away, and not just physically, right? But also emotionally
Yeah.
before you are married.
Yeah.
And so being careful to assess like what's okay to share or what's not okay to share with that person
Yeah.
is actually important.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's where the leaders, like who you're talking to,
Right.
becomes really important, because you want to be clear and you also want to be careful.
Good.
Not to give your entire heart away. Guard your heart.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Guard your heart, because I think that is biblical, right? You say guard your heart until it's ready, right?
Yes.
Until it's ready to be awakened, until it's ready when the time comes.
Yep.
Maybe we can talk about this too. I think people talk about standards that you might want to put in place, right, for dating and who you're dating.
Yep.
What should people be looking out for, right, when you are dating somebody?
Yeah. I think it probably starts with you just being clear about who you are.
Yeah.
I think often people get into dating relationships because they're just looking for companionship.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Look, we love dating. It was fun. We had a great time. You always tell me, hey, I miss those dating years,
I
like,
did.
when everything was fresh and fun and all that. But what are you looking for? And I think that's probably like more important. It's like, hey, okay, I know who I am. I know where my life is going. And I want to enter into a relationship because it's going to make me better. I think there's going to be synergy. I feel like God is leading me into a relationship with someone who will be aligned with where I feel God's leading me. And together, the two are going to be better than one.
Yeah.
Together, we're going to accomplish more than just we accomplish like individually.
Yes.
You know, I think if you have that kind of perspective, the standards and the expectations follow. Because I'm looking for someone not just to be a companion. I'm not just looking for someone to help me with like loneliness. I'm not just looking for someone because I'm bored, you know, and I want to do like
Or
fun
like
stuff
for somebody
together.
to check off the Christian box,
Yeah,
you know?
no, or yeah,
Yeah.
anyone. As long as like, you know, I would joke like with one of my cousins. Well, what are you looking for? As long as he's male, good, and Christian, that's it. Is it? I mean, there
Yes.
must be more than that.
Yes.
Like, where are you going in life? What's God called you to
Good.
be? What's God called you to do? You know, and then don't settle for anything less than what God's called you to.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm really thankful that we had those conversations, that we knew what God was leading us into, and we said, God, I'm not going to settle.
Yes.
God, I'm looking for someone who can match all of these things. And through the course of dating, it became clearer for us. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I think this is going to be good. And you know, where we are right now is only possible because of those decisions and that process that we went through.
I agree. I think I remember my youth pastor used to tell me, "Hey, don't compromise." Remember, I told you guys about this list that I have,
Yes.
31 things, right?
Yep.
A list that I had, and I remember thinking, yeah, you know, some people say your standards are too high, it's too much, but I remember thinking, yeah, you know, don't compromise because God can give you the best.
Yep.
Like that's the desires of your heart, you know, and I don't know. I've heard of also cases of missionary dating. Have you heard of that?
Uh-huh.
Where you
Yep.
basically, you know, you'd say, yeah, I know, I hope that one day this person will come to know Jesus,
Mm.
you know, and I think that can be a dangerous place to be too. Again, not because, oh, we're just trying to be sticky about it. Are you dating a Christian or not, right?
Right.
But I think it comes back to this values thing,
Mm-hmm.
the standard thing. This what is the vision of your life,
Yep.
right? Do you want to settle for a, you know, a certain type of life, a certain type of a walk with God,
Yeah.
right? Or are you saying, God, no, I believe like this is where you want me to be, and that's where I want to, and that's how I'm going to look for a partner or someone I want to spend the rest of my life with.
Yeah.
And I feel like one thing I always tell people is this: don't date potential,
Hmm.
because
That's good. Yeah.
people kind of say, oh, but this is great now, and I think he can change next time. I think he
Yeah.
will he'll become this person, or he could become this person,
Yeah.
right, in the future.
Good.
But you're putting yourself in a very precarious situation when you do that,
Mm.
because you don't know what like 5 years later will look like. We always talk about this: marriage is hard.
Mm.
It's hard, you know. It doesn't magically become like a, you know, a solution for all the problems that you had
Sure.
faced when
No,
you were
absolutely.
dating,
Yeah.
just because you got married.
Yeah.
And so you better fix the problems before you are married. And if it can't be fixed, actually it comes back to what we talked about: end it.
Yep.
Right? Be okay to finish it or
Yeah.
end the relationship.
No, that's really, really good. I think that's probably the difference between like when you're dating, when you're married.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you're dating, there's this like thought like, oh man, if I only love the person enough, I'm sure we can make it work.
Yes.
You know? And I think when you're married, absolutely. You're in
Yes.
this for life. Whatever is there, look, we're gonna like smash it out, we're gonna pray, we're gonna work through this until like things get sorted.
Mm.
When you're dating, you know, you always have some of that. You know, you're learning to grow in relationship and closeness and so on. But I think you got to have like it's got to be mixed in with wisdom,
Yes.
because, you know, no matter how long you date, a year, 2, 3, um, those decisions you make then set you up for the next 60, 70 years of your life.
Yep.
And I think if you put that into perspective, I think the way you navigate it and the way you decide things in that dating phase will be quite different.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad that it was you, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we had the same kind of values, the
Yes.
same thoughts, you know, about dating and where we wanted to be. And so that helped us. I think eventually when we got married, you know, we have faced our own problems, which we'll talk about, you know, another episode. But I think I'm so grateful that we've kind of fixed all of that, or decided already
Yeah.
all of that when we were dating. We're laying some foundations. I think the biggest problem is some people take some of those marriage principles,
Yeah.
fight for your marriage, fight for the. I mean, but Like, do you really need to do that also in the dating phase? Maybe for some, yes,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
for some, actually, you need to have the wisdom, again, the safety of counselors, somebody
Yes.
can come in and tell you those things. To say, actually, I don't think this is something I'm going to fight for. And I don't think it's worth like fighting for anymore.
Mm.
It needs to end because I can. I've
Yeah.
not made any kind of covenant, like commitment. I've not made any kind of, like commitment in front of a big crowd,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To have to hang on to it just because I can't let go, or I
Yep.
think like this person could change, or
Yep.
this person could become someone different.
Yeah.
You know,
Very good.
and so what would be maybe one last thing we can leave with our listeners,
Yeah.
right? About maybe your advice for someone who is looking to date or someone who is already in that dating phase.
Yeah. I think a few things. One, if you're looking to date, look, it's a great thing.
Yeah.
I think after all that has been said, I think God has the best for us.
Yes.
God wants us to thrive. He wants you to experience love. He wants to experience the depth of relationship. That's what we were created for. I think it's in our DNA.
Yes.
I think it's good if you have a desire to get married. And so I want to encourage that.
Good.
I want to encourage that. I think it's a good thing. It's God's plan. It's God's design. He created Adam and Eve. Marriage is His plan. That's His plan for the world. So I want to encourage that. It's good. But I think if you're thinking about dating, begin to pray and ask God, like, God, help me to know who I am first.
Yeah.
I think
Good.
the more you know who you are, the more you're clearer about where you're going, the clearer you are about like who you're gonna date,
Yeah.
and the clearer about what you're looking for and the expectations. I think that's one. Two is don't do it alone. I think, like we said,
Yes.
hey, get people around you, friends, leaders, pastors. Look, your pastors and leaders are there to help you.
Yep.
We are pastors ourselves, and our heart is never like, I just want to make it as hard as possible for you. No, I want you to thrive and do well. I want you, when you're married for the next 50, 60 years,
Exactly.
be so glad about the investment you made before you get married.
So good.
I'm always trying to get people get into premarital counseling because that investment reaps, a return that is way more than what you put in
Yeah.
at the start. So get around people, get around counselors, get around leaders. And the last thing is I would say, look, have fun. Like, have fun. Dating is fun.
It is.
If you can do those things right, look, go for it. Enjoy your time together.
Yeah.
Enjoy discovering relationship.
Yes.
Enjoy conversation. Enjoy, that season of like even being around like other people who are with you as well. You do it well. We still talk about it
Yeah.
now, and we go on dates because we say dating's fun. Like like. I
Yeah,
want
you
to
don't stop dating.
You don't stop dating. Actually, like we're still discovering things about each other. Now and then, I'll still ask you, "Hey, tell me something I don't know about you," and you're like, "Dude,
Well, I'm running out of things
This
here.
is really, really hard now." But have fun and enjoy it.
Yeah, no, great. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing all of that and coming on the show again.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, we'll talk more about marriage, I think, in our next episode and do that together again. Well, and thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope that encouraged you to date well and to live full.